Welcome to the second week of learning about stock market investing with the Secure the Bag Book Club. Welcome to the stream. My name is Brooke Brown, and I am your co-learner, facilitator of this particular virtual meeting space where we learn about how to acquire assets. We learn about how to invest our money in smart ways, and also how to manage our wealth and protect it from things like taxation, which we learned about last month. We learned about things like protecting your intellectual property through copyrights, trademarks, patents, those kinds of things. And now we are talking about stock market investing. And we have several books that we've gone through, but the one that we're on today is Invested by Danielle Town and Phil Town. I really should take off that sticker, but I don't know. I just keep forgetting to. Just a disclaimer before we get started. And I hope my microphone is working at the moment because it seems to not be working. Maybe. Let me know if you guys can hear me for sure when you come on aboard. So we are talking about a couple of things this month. Oh, the disclaimer that I wanted to share is that this is for educational purposes only. I am not a licensed financial advisor, and therefore I don't want you to take what I share as law, but merely, as we are learning together, I have my own conclusions, my own opinions, and those things matter in the grand scheme of things. So there we go. Let's see. Let me double check and make sure this is on. Hang tight, y'all. I want to check my volume. Okay. Yep, I think we're good. All right. So let's get started. And also I wanted to share with you guys that I have created the Asset Academy, which is on my website. If you go to guides and then Asset Academy or whatbrookespent.com/course, there is a free course where it has companion PDFs to all the books that we've discussed. And I want you guys to explore that information because it really is a great primer as you start reading the books, and then also just a refresher once you're done reading the books. So definitely want to check that out, right? Yeah, okay, so last stream, I mentioned that I have an investment box, and I want to show it to you today. Okay. So it's velvet. Yes, this is my investment box. It's you know how in the book how the author talked about the her investing space. Well, this is my box that I use, and it's got some really interesting things inside. First of all, let me start with my lucky pens. They're green for money, and they write so well. They're S-Gel pens by Sharpie, and I am obsessed with them. So I got several packs. So there you go. I have a picture of young me. Can you see it? Anyways, yes, me in 4th grade. And it just inspires me to just make my younger self proud. So there you go. I have a promissory note from a personal loan that I got that helped me in business for business purposes. And then I have these awesome notebooks. There's 2 of them. And one of them is my notes for general purposes. And then the other, I really hope my volume is right. I see I'm paranoid from the last broadcast, but I tested it twice. So hopefully it works. The last thing is my notebook where I keep my, I do all my doodles for budgeting purposes. So that is something that I do, that I have in my investing box as well. And I can't wait to add more to it as we learn about how to read financial statements and annual reports and all that good stuff, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. We're not going to get into the weeds, but we are going to talk about it. So there you go. All right. So we're on chapter 4, 5, and 6 this week. And um, one of the things she talks about is the investor beef between economists and Warren Buffett and his the likes of him, right? So they had the economist, they were like, oh, anybody that outperforms the market or whatever as an investor, they're just lucky, and really it's a matter of just logic and information and that's the reason why the prices are actually fair. Warren Buffett shoots back and is like, no. And I made a short about this. So if you go to investor rat beef on my shorts on my channel, What Brooke Spent, you'll be able to track what I'm talking about here. But yes, Warren Buffett shoots back and is like, I can show you better than I can tell you. And then he does. And then he's like, don't you ever doubt me again. And economists are like still to this day bitter about it and like saying that Warren Buffett is not someone who you want to get investment advice from. I don't know, but a billionaire versus economists that kind of are strictly theory, that's where I sit with it. I think I'm going with Buffett. Anywho, but that's the difference between emotional investors who don't uh, take into account their own greed or their own fears into why they make the decisions that they do, and value investors, which is what we're trying to be. And the fact that we are educating ourselves and preparing ourselves in the way of value investing means that we actually have somewhat of an advantage. We have the edge because we're not allowing fear or greed to dictate when we purchase stocks. We're thinking about the long game, and we're thinking about what it would look like to invest in a sound, solid company that we've actually done research about, and we're not just speculating. We're not just caught off by surprise. We're actually making sure that we know what we're talking about, right? So speaking of knowing what we're talking about, right? One of the principles that Warren Buffett's right-hand man, Charlie Munger, talks about is understanding a business. And he talks about the circle of competence. On page 106 to 108, the authors talk about the circle of competence. And it talks about things like figuring out the companies that you already invest in because you already spend your money there, or you already know something about them or about their industry, or about you might have a passion for their mission, similar passion for their mission. But the diagram that it has on the page is this Venn diagram, and it says what to vote for with my money. What do I, vote for with my money? And then, I'm trying to get it in focus. There we go. Where do I make my money? And about what am I passionate about? And she goes through the exercise and talks about everything from the car she drives to the hobbies that she has. And it's good stuff. It really is. And it makes you think that like, oh, I don't have to like go and research and pour over boring companies that I don't particularly care about or I don't know much about, and probably never will understand the ins and outs of it enough to be a confident investor in the company. So there is that, right? And then there's Munger's other three principles. So there's four principles total, but three of others that he talks about on page 99, if I can get to it. Yes. Page 99, the four principles. It must be a business that he is capable of understanding. You are capable of understanding. It must be a business with some intrinsic characteristics that give it a durable competitive advantage. 3, he would like it to be a business that has management with integrity and talent. And 4, it must be a business that he can buy for a price that makes sense and gives a margin of safety. What does all that mean? Basically, you know what you know, and you're going to be confident about investing in it. And then you're going to make sure that when you're researching these companies, as you're going along, as you're investing in them or deciding to invest in them, you're thinking about, do they have a competitive advantage that you can take note of? And do they have management that you can be confident in their decision-making skills? So there you go. The best takeaway I could give you as far as like chapter 4 and a little into chapter 5 is the idea that you don't know what you don't know until you do know what you know, and the chapters 5 and 6 kind of move forward in that quest, right? Because on at the end of chapter 4, she's like, I'm reading Warren Buffett's letters to his shareholders and learning so much. I'm reading annual reports, 10Ks. I'm um, uh, learning about the different numbers that could potentially indicate smart management decisions, such as the debt load of a company and all that good stuff. So I think it is progressing very nicely through all of those things. And then he goes on to, so the second part is that you're thinking about the competitive advantage, right? And in on page or no in chapter, what is it, chapter 5, he talks about the moats, like a castle moat, that defends a castle, or you know, it acts as a line of defense against attackers into a castle. Same, you have moats that work to keep a business protected from competition. Some of those moats include brand moat. So, like, you know, the brand is so strong that you're just like, oh, I know that, you know, this company is going places because the brand is just untouchable, right? They mentioned Coca-Cola has a brand moat. Switching moat, which is that is when it's very difficult for consumers to switch products from one company to its competitor. They mentioned Apple being one of them, and I can agree because I have a MacBook, I have a Apple Watch, I have iPhone, all those things, and so yeah, it's definitely it would be a pain to switch to other platforms. Network effects, toll bridges, secrets, and price are also uh, moats that serve as a competitive advantage for companies. So yeah, definitely take a look at that section for sure. And then the last part is talking about management and gossip, which I was like, yes, spill the tea. Hey there, welcome in. If you are new to the stream, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Love to see who's tuning in today, and also let me know if you can hear me this session, because I'm paranoid because last session you couldn't hear me and I had to re-record all over again. Shucks. Yes. So in chapter 6, I think it was, it went on to talk about how you can look into, I'm trying to find the page. Oh no, I think it was chapter 5. Okay, so in chapter 5, yay, you can hear me. Thanks, Diane. Wonderful. Thank God. Good to be back. Good to have you back. That's right, Diane. So glad you're here. So yeah, so anyways, it talked about like when you're researching a company, right? And you're learning about their management, right? You're learning about all the reasons why they're a good fit, like a good responsible leader of the company, and potentially where there might be some blind spots that they might have, right? One company, it might be really ideal that they are, you know, someone that comes from a tech background, and they, you know, they have they've had tenure with companies that, like, you know, startup after startup. And so, you know, the fact that they're at a startup that is publicly traded now, you know, you can look at their track record and see if they, you know their stuff and did right by the companies that they've been a part of, right? So that's the one gossip. But then the other gossip is like things like, oh, you know, they ruin things for that product launch, or they had a sound bite that was very off-putting, and now suddenly, you know, people don't particularly trust the company or the brand or their leadership, right? They had an icky battle between, you know, a former employee, you know, all those kinds of things that you're going to look into because that is relevant to investing in the company, right? Juicy stuff, frankly. I'm just saying. So there is that. And then I wanted to give you guys some homework. because this is part of the process, right? We're not only learning in theory about investing, we're also setting ourselves up and preparing ourselves for when we have the funds to do so, right? So, one thing, brokerage account. It sounds more intimidating than it actually is. It's just like a savings account, just like opening a checking account. You literally open it with a brokerage firm and you say to yourself, I have mine with Schwab, not an endorsement, but I have my brokerage account with Schwab, Charles Schwab, and all you do is open the account, connect a bank account, an outside bank account, and that way you can transfer money in and out and buy and sell your stocks that way. Brokerage account. Homework, get, open it. Second thing is, I want you to start your fantasy investing list. She mentions it in chapter, is it chapter 6? I'm going to look for the chapter, but while I do, yes, it is chapter 6. In chapter 6, she talks about like her fantasy, like similar to fantasy football or fantasy baseball or sports or whatever, sports betting, that kind of thing. Not sports betting, but more so just, fantasy football, for example. You take the companies that you're interested in investing in, your wish list of investors, and you put all the information together in like a spreadsheet, and all the information that you're gathering, the stuff about the company, the metrics that you're thinking, like you're comparing and all that good stuff, links to shareholder letters and all that good stuff. You're going to get it all together and you're going to put your fantasy list together. And I'm kind of excited about the prospect of doing that because I love the fact that the Secure the Bag book club is all about preparing for your moment, right? The moment when you have the breathing room in your budget, when you have the inheritance, when you have the winning lottery ticket, whatever, when you get the raise at your job, when you get the promotion, when you have that extra money, you can do something with it, right? We talked about intellectual property back in October. We talked about buying art and valuation of art and all that good stuff in November. In December, we talked about lessening our tax liability. And then now we're talking about investing. And all of that is to work together to prepare us for when we have our moment, our great wealth transfer, if you will. So yeah, that is what I got going. Now I'm just curious about you guys' thoughts about how the book club is going and the subjects that we've been covering. Would love to hear your feedback in the comment section, either during this broadcast or immediately following, or in the days to come when you're just checking it out and you're like, okay, what is this Secure the Bag book club? What is it about? Now you know. Okay, so remember, head on over to whatbrooksbent.com /events for the schedule of the reading schedule. And then for the previous broadcast, you can look on the playlist, Secure the Bag Book Club playlist on my channel. And then you can also head on over to whatbrooksbent.com /course for the Asset Academy. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for supporting this endeavor. I'm having a blast learning. I'm having a blast connecting with you all, and love that you guys are, engaged and, just feeling the mission as much as I am. Diane said, I love this format. It's so quick and digestible. Make me just, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Yes, I am. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you on the next broadcast Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember to tell the others. All right. Take care.